Thank you for choosing CTN. And now, it's time with Herman and Sharron.
I love you. Thank you
Hi,
so
everybody.
much for joining us, and we appreciate it.
Yes.
This is my wife, Sharron.
Husband Herman, how you doing?
How you doing? For a long time, we've been husband and wife. We just celebrated our 58th anniversary.
Not too long ago. That's
Happy
right.
anniversary.
Thank you. You too.
You know what we've stopped doing? You know, the cards are outrageously expensive now. You know, you get, you know, and they're just, you know, and then you got to fill in your own information anyway. So we've started, you know, writing notes to each other on special days, and we like them.
Yeah.
The last
We
one
just make our own cards.
yeah, the last one she wrote, I still got it on my little.
We're cheap, aren't we?
Yeah. Let me introduce some people that, at least the one guy I've known for many years. Dr. Charlie Martin, right there. Get a shot of him.
Yeah.
There he is right there. They're going to come in tight on you. There he
Everybody
is.
in
Right
the
there.
area knows Charlie.
Keep that shot, because you will understand why I say this. He's the only guy, if you see him, we always go to the Trinity College banquets. He was at Trinity College. Sharon and I met at Trinity College, and so it's kind of a old homecoming whenever we're together. But when you want to find Charlie, just look for the brightest smile in the room. I mean, it's like he's got a permanent smile plastered on his face.
I know.
So,
It's great.
It's great. But I mean, he had a mega church in Indian Rocks, Florida.
Indian Rocks Beach, yeah.
Not beach.
No, not beach, just Indian Rocks.
Yeah, Indian
Okay,
Rocks,
sorry.
Indian
Quit
Rocks.
correcting me on TV.
Yeah, okay, honey. Well, I've done that for 38 years now. And one day, after how many years?
37 years.
37 years.
Yeah.
He just left, and he says, I'm going to take a little church in the Carolinas. And I said, are you serious? Is a little church? He goes, yeah, just a little country church. And I said to him, it's not going to be little long, because he has this, I don't know what that, it's like a guy that is great in business, and he becomes an entrepreneur, and everything he touches just kind of explodes. Charlie Martin. So this one in the Carolinas, well, trust me, one of these days it's going to be a mega church in the Carolinas.
And now we're meeting his beautiful daughter.
Yes, her name is Sammy. I can say that. Now your actual given name is?
Samara.
Samara.
Yep.
You picked that?
Her mother did, and I agreed. I call her Sammy Lee.
Yep.
Okay.
The joke is he's from Arkansas and you have to have two names. So my mom said, let's pick something a little more feminine and she can decide later.
That is great.
It is.
So you have a daughter now that is an author. Yes. And this is really neat, because you are really, is this your first book?
It is, yes.
I mean, this is well done.
Thank you.
I mean, even if I didn't know you, it would be the kind I would want to have, because it is so well done. The title of it, Broken to Blended, Encouragement for Blended Families. Now, to open this correctly, now I've already talked about you. Give me your background.
Well, daughter of Pastor Charlie Martin.
Yeah.
So
How many times did you have to tell people that?
Pastor Charlie's daughter, that's pretty
Yeah.
much what I went by. And it was funny because growing up, I was the baby girl, and they never knew I existed for a while because I was the quiet one.
Yeah.
Until now, I guess. But so grew up in a pastor's home, great Christian home with my mom and dad, and was raised in church. And I don't know how far you want me to get, but
Just keep going. Raised in church, in fact, it's like our kids.
yeah, I mean,
In other words, you were there every time the doors were open.
I was.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes dragged, but but yes, and it was wonderful. I had a great upbringing, great youth ministry, and went to nursing school here at St. Pete College.
Ooh.
And
You're
when I was
smart.
in college, I got married at 20.
That's your husband.
Where did you meet him?
At church. That was actually something that my parents were very strong about, that we had, you know, of course Indian Rocks was huge, so it was different than living in the mountains at tiny churches, but yes, so mutual faith, mutual background, which helps in marriage, of course, as well. And eventually we left Florida and moved to Tennessee, and that's kind of where life changed, where we go into this book. And I became a single mom at 26 with my 2 kids, and life changed very quickly.
Now, coming from your background, divorce is not an option.
No, it's nothing we even talk about.
Yeah.
I don't even like the word, and I still don't today. I know how the Lord feels about divorce. It's very clear in the Bible, and I never thought that would be me. I was in marriage for a lifetime.
Yeah.
That was how I knew it, how I was raised, and how I was taught, and that's what I wanted.
Did you see it coming apart? Did you?
I did. There were red flags actually for us, and I never want to belittle anybody, but for us there were red flags within even the first 6 months after we were married, just things that had been hidden or that I was not aware of.
Wow.
And when you know somebody for so many years, you think that you're well prepared, and you go through premarital counseling and you talk about all these things. But
was he responsive to the counseling?
Yes, at the beginning and before marriage, but not after.
This is good. This is good for people who are watching that's gone through that. You did everything right. I mean, when you think about it, everything was.
The environment was exactly right.
You told exactly, who to look for and everything.
Yeah.
But we're not always assured, are we?
We're not, and I guess that's what was so hard, is because, in a way, you felt stupid after it was over. Like, how could I not be able to continue on? How could I not be strong enough to make it through a hard?
So you start blaming yourself?
I felt guilty.
Yeah.
Because that's just not what I wanted. I had lived my life. I mean, we were involved in missions work, and I wanted God to use my life to the fullest.
How many children at this time?
2, and they were very little. One had just turned 1, the baby, and the other one was 3. And so that was very, and I was young. I married young. A couple years later, had my first. Couple years later, had my second. And so that's what I wanted. I wanted to be a young mom. I wanted to raise our kids while we still had all this energy at the young years,
Time to do it.
But it was a drastic change.
Charlie, as a dad, first time you heard this, because in that huge church you had, you must have counseled, hundreds upon hundreds of people. So you knew what to say, and you knew what she was going to say. How do you handle that?
Well, you just want to be there for your loved ones at that time and encourage and bless and all. I was heartbroken because I loved him, and I loved my daughter, and I was, my heart broke, and my wife's heart broke. But we just wanted to be there to support and be there in prayer and encouragement and everything, and telling her she's going to get through this. God has not forsaken you during this. So.
Wow.
And those words were needed desperately.
Yes. Yeah.
So to move through the book, ultimately you were divorced.
Yes.
And how long after you saw the problems did this final divorce happen?
Well, there were smaller issues at first, and then those issues grew into bigger issues, and basically to say it was a biblical divorce, that God gives us boundaries and reasons. And, we went to Christian counselors after, I call it a betrayal, after feeling betrayed and left in a way, and we went and, when I think of Christian counselors and pastors counseling where I lived at the time, this was different from where Mom and Dad lived, but, I was thinking, okay, they're just going to tell me, you need to fix it, you need to stay there, you need to do this, you need to do that, and work it out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, that's not what I heard. You know what I mean? And I think that broke me even more because I wanted it so badly, but I wanted it, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Got to be 2. Yeah.
You can't fix somebody else. You can do what you can for yourself, but you can't make somebody come back and love you.
That's right.
So divorce happened.
Divorce happened.
Did you, in your mind, think, I will remarry sometime?
At that point, I was like, I'm going to be this super single mom and superwoman, and I can do this. You know, I was 26. I was young, and I'm a nurse. That's my background, and I was still commuting an hour and 15 minutes. I ended up moving in with mom and dad, and was commuting and just trying to keep a routine for my kids. And I think in the back of my mind, I wondered but I also wondered, could anybody love me again? And not only me, but now I've got 2 children. I mean, it's one thing to go through this by yourself. It's still very hurtful and lonely, but it's another thing when you've got 2 very, very small children and you're trying to have some kind of normalcy for their life, and you want to protect them, so they come before you.
How did you deal with their cries and wanting daddy?
You know, they didn't. They were very young.
So young.
So yeah, and that was a blessing. I still thank the Lord today because they have done just really well and fallen into a routine that's not the normal, but it's our normal. And you know, they just fell into it. So I didn't have that as much as somebody that with older kids might have.
So time passed.
Yes.
And so you saw Steve across the room?
Oh my goodness. He was up here with me. He has a story to share, but he actually, it wasn't long after that. And that's what was a little bit taken for me. I kind of took back a little bit because, you know, God's plans are not our own. And we learn that in life in many ways. And I mean, it was a matter of months before God brought Steve into my life. And I interrogated the snot out of him when we started just talking. We didn't date for a couple months, but when we just started talking, and I just felt this, like I needed it to.
Give me your interrogation.
Oh my goodness, there's things I probably couldn't even say on.
It's in the book.
I couldn't even say some of it on television, but it's, I mean, things, even after being married as long as you'll have things that you may not have ever been asked by your wife, but like things about, I mean, hidden sins too, you know, just different ones, and how do they feel about this, or how do they feel about that, or how would you treat my children, or how, you know, like, do you think you can even manage the baggage that has come? But you know what's funny?
He was divorced?
He was, that's what I was gonna say. Like this whole time I'm like, Lord, this guy's not gonna understand. I am beating him down, trying to ask him all these questions, you know, feeling like I need to know. But then here he was.
You're thinking to yourself, if he hangs on after this interrogation, okay.
Yeah, exactly. He was passing with flying colors, but little did I know, once I started to get to know him, he had been through the same situation. His 2 kids were a little bit older. He had been on his own a couple years. And God had brought him out of a situation too, and it was similar in very many ways. And I just had to laugh. Isn't that like God to like give me that peace that it's gonna be okay? You know what I mean? And very quickly did I realize that he was the one that God was bringing in my life long term. And I don't recommend it when we counsel couples.
So he had 2 too.
He had 2 as well.
He had 2.
Yes, so we dated with our kids. We dated with all 4 and had to try to see if that would work first before he and I, you know what I mean, to make sure that they could do okay.
So you know firsthand about blended family.
Oh my goodness.
That's what the book's written about.
I know it is. I know it is.
Oh my goodness, more than probably I ever wanted to know.
The time that Steve asked you, how did that happen?
When he asked me to be his girl or to marry him.
To marry him.
Oh, it's very simple.
And did he have a ring at the time?
He did have a ring. You know what? He had to sell we live in North Carolina, so Panthers are the big team out there.
Don't tell me.
I know, I'm sorry. But he had to sell his Panther PSL seats just to buy me a ring. And if that's not true love.
What a heart.
No, but he got on his knee in his living room right there in the home that we were gonna start our life in together and asked me to marry him.
That's great.
My goodness.
That's true love when he sells that.
I know, right?
Take a look at this caption right there. Now that's a blended family.
Wow.
I think we have another one which I like even better. Look at
that's more like it.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that the neatest thing?
There's more than 4 kids there, though. What happened?
Yeah, 5. Yeah, down the road.
Yeah.
Levi, his name means united, which is, I wanted a name with a meaning.
What is interesting, Sammy, you didn't want to have any more children.
I was done, and Steve was done.
And Steve was done.
Oh, he was more than done.
And that was, and that was kind of agreed on.
Yes, before we got married.
And then What transpired?
I don't know if it was the woman in me or the mom, or I don't know, but I just started to have this strong desire to have one together. And I didn't know if God would fulfill that desire, but it was something that I truly wanted. But Steve wasn't in agreement for a while.
Yeah, because it was like, this is okay.
Yeah.
Family's good.
Oh, 4 is enough. Yeah. We were in over our heads already.
But then one day,
Yep.
he said to you,
Oh, he came. I remember I was in my little office at home because I worked from home as a nurse, and he came down and he just had tears running down his eyes, and I'm like, oh no, what's wrong now? Because we were in ministry, and I was like, Lord, I don't know if I can handle one more thing. And he just said, you know what? I've been selfish, and I don't ever see him that way because he's the most servant-spirited man, humble. And he's like, I have been so selfish. I'm like, oh no, what'd you do? You know, and you know, coming from this whole, and he just said, I would love nothing more than to at least try to have one together. So that was a miracle in itself.
Wow.
So, yeah.
okay,
great.
walk me through, I mean, you guys have, the book, we obviously can't cover the book, so you have to get your copy.
Yes.
And you'll see it on the screen, and you can get your copy because you will love it. It is well written. I mean, there are readable books, and then you got, okay, you go through 3 chapters, and you go, I think I've had enough of that. This you'll finish. So, and it's well laid out. I like that because it's thematic.
Right.
What were the things that stand out in this blended family that you wanted to pass on to people and not just keep it to yourself?
You know, at first I wanted to keep it to myself. I prayed and I cried. I mean, I was like, Lord, why are you asking me to rip open this scar that's finally healing after so many years? Because, you know, it is a lifetime of healing through a traumatic experience of any kind. And God said, you know what, if you can't use your brokenness for my glory, what good are you going to have? What's your purpose in life? And I prayed, and God gave me my purpose and my passion, but it took lots of tears and 8 months to just write a 30-day devotional because I wanted the Holy Spirit to inspire this. And the keys that stood out to me was the struggle, because I had such an unrealistic view of how my life was going to change once we merged. You know, oh, we're going back to a normal family, you know, we're going back to normalcy with our kids, and they're going to have 2 parents in a home, and you know, you are in this la land and forget about all the complexies that come with it, and the different parents and the different grandparents and all the
What are the kids going to call you?
Exactly, and that was hard.
Yeah, that's in the book. Or am I their mother, or am I their caretaker? What am I?
And I wanted to be the mom at my house. And I desired that so much. I just wanted to be mom where I was and have that to be normal. And it, you know, there's a joke as we go on, because, you know, sometimes the other parents are not okay with them calling you that. And so we came up with the name Sugar Mama. And it was a big joke. And like, we'd go through the grocery store and they'd be like, hey, Sugar Mama, can I get this? And people would be like, you know, what did they just call her? But it was like funny to me, because in a blended family life, you need to laugh. You need to just be silly, because there's so much seriousness that comes with it.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Charlie, you and your wife, her mom. Now you've got to accept this with an embrace. And not a fake embrace. How do you do that?
It's very easy. Steve, we loved Steve when we first met him, and you know, God just did a wonderful work. We love the children, you know, and we understand about the names and knowing what to call the step parent and all. Use that term just as a descriptive term, because I don't like the step. I don't like that part, because that's, I think kids need to grow up, and I just encourage folks to let them, let them call whichever home they're in dad, whichever home they're in mom, because it takes away the sting that sometimes is a reproach, because every time if someone is introduced as a step this or step that, then they've got to go into an explanation and the whole schmeal. And kids don't need that. So whatever makes it better and easier for the kids, you know, no matter who it is, I think that. But
so you embraced it and just went on with life.
Right.
Yeah.
You're that kind of guy. I mean, you're just
easy.
He is. He's an amazing guy. You've had lows before when your first marriage. Do you have lows in this one, I would imagine?
You know, they're different because I realize how much more God's the center of my marriage now. And
Really?
it's, you know, you can be a Christian.
Oh, yes.
And you can read your Bible. Doesn't mean you have a close walk with the Lord.
True.
And now, I mean, we desire to grow together in our personal, separate relationships first and foremost, and then together. We were just talking about this last night, actually. And then the closer, it's just like the 3-strand cord. You know, the closer we get to God, the less room the devil has to work.
Yes.
And, you know, God's called us into ministry, and, you know, even more so, you get attacked. You know, the devil hates that you're even telling other people about Jesus and sharing the love of Christ, whether it's through this or anything. And yeah, so it's different. It's different hardships. So a lot more come from like raising our kids than they do from our marriage.
You have to pass the kids to the other parent, right?
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you even say this in the book, that his wife, you like her.
I do. Yes. You mean my ex-husband?
Yes.
Yes, I do. You know what it is too? When he was single, it was a lot harder for me to let the girls go because they're girls.
Yeah.
And they were babies at first, you know, and it's only like every other weekend, so I have them a lot most of the time. And
So it doesn't feel like you're giving him to something that's, oh.
But now, like that, he's got her name's Jen, and I really like her. I mean, I do. Like,
They live in the same area?
no, they're a couple hours away.
Okay, well.
But like to know that the girls are going and they're being nurtured, and dads can do that, but there's something about a mom. And I'm so comfortable now with them going, and I know they're loved, I know they're cared for. She's taking care of any little girl issues that might occur, and any needs they might have, and I'm very appreciative. And that was a hard place for me to get at first, but I'm just thankful that the Lord has given me that peace about all that. Yeah.
That's great.
The book covers every aspect of a blended family.
It's raw,
Which you wanted to make sure you did that. Because you're now answering questions for someone else that reads the book that you had and had no book.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Charlie, you have something coming up that Sharron and I used to do eons ago. We took 344 senior adults on a cruise, 8 busloads to Miami. And we're like little hens.
We were a lot younger during those days.
we watch over, I'm what would be known as a perfectionist. I gotta have everything just right. The luggage has gotta be lined up certain way. Yeah, she's shaking her head. But so it's amazing how I lived through these times at Super 60s.
Yeah.
But then you start this church, and Charlie gives me a call and he said, Herman, I'd like to ask permission, could I use the name that you use, Super 60s, at the senior adult ministry that we had many years ago? And I said, I'd be honored. And so you've done that. In fact, I got to show you something. Charlie brought this along, and he does meetings.
You need help?
Yeah, yes, here we go. Yeah, let's get it right here. Here, I'm going to hold it like this, and I don't want to hurt it because
He brings his own banner with him?
Yeah, he brings his own banner.
Take it everywhere.
There it is. There it is right there.
Wow. That looks great.
Is that
Vilas.
Vilas, North Carolina. But I had one like this on the platform. I got pictured all across the platform.
Where is that close to?
We'll just lay it back here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
we're
right.
just right by Samaritan's Purse.
Okay.
Boone, North Carolina.
It's got to be beautiful up there.
It is.
Okay.
We got to go up there.
And Dave, show the Singing at Sea. There it is on the screen. If you get your brochure, make sure you write Dr. Charlie Martin or Charlie or whatever, that he would be your host.
Wow.
Okay, and so that way you can be with him, and so if you need a Kleenex or whatever, Charlie will bring it to you. if you
Now this has been going on for a long time. This
Yes,
Singing at Sea.
this year is Templeton's 44th
Yes.
annual Singing at Sea, and it is, Stephanie, my wife, and I have been twice together. I went this last year out of Fort Lauderdale. This year it's going to Cozumel, Mexico, and Key West, Florida, and it's out of Tampa. So it's going to be
it's out of
in a
Tampa.
2018.
much larger ship.
February 2018.
Yeah.
And hey, Dave, can you show some of the pictures of the? I mean, I have never seen so many stars. Take a look at the stars on this. I mean, look at the
Wow.
people there. I mean, you got singers coming out the wazoo, whatever that is. But I mean, and you got speakers, you got comedians. Yeah. Seriously.
It's a fabulous, fabulous trip. And the kids go free, 15 and under go free. And it's a tremendous, godly, Christian
atmosphere.
All Christian. The Templetons.
So nobody's on there getting drunk?
No.
Okay.
No, hopefully not. In their private quarters, I don't know. But it's Maurice Templeton, his brother Phil Templeton, and now operated by Jeff Templeton out of Boone, North Carolina. This is bigger and better than anything I have ever seen. And I tell you, the joy of being on the cruise and all, it's just a great family trip.
I bet.
Anything Charlie is involved in, trust me, it has to be good going in, or he's not going to mess with it. So go to that on your screen and write it. Trust me, if you don't write it down, you're going to go, oh, I'm not interested. And about 2 weeks later, you go, I am interested. Where is that number? So
they got quite a long time to save up the money for it, too.
Absolutely. And these are the greatest thing, because when we took our seniors on these kind of trips, I'm telling you, I still remember, Charlie, you'll get a kick, because I spoke, we had the whole ballroom with our singers and everything. Yeah. So I gave them what I did as Super 60s, an opportunity to trust Christ.
Yes.
Happened on the cruise of 344. A lady, 84 years old, walks up, because it was kind of a rise, and I looked down, I said, hi, and she goes, tears coming down her face. She said, I finally understood what you mean. I said, tell me. She said, I prayed to accept Christ just now. Wow. Now, see, I'd given the invitation many times at Super 60s. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
But the Holy Spirit used this trip on a cruise to open her heart.
Yeah.
So I mean, things like that happen that are just memories forever.
Yeah.
Sammy, that camera for about 60 seconds, maybe left, share somebody watching. They may be in a blended family or something that's happened. They need your encouragement.
Well, just like we talked about earlier, you know, something I love to tell people is God doesn't allow things to happen to you in life that he doesn't filter first. And everything's through his hands and through his touch. And what I try to encourage you today, no matter where you are, whether you're in a marriage that feels like it's breaking or wherever you might be, that you would see what God has, his purpose and his passion for you. Because when you seek him first, he will give you the answers that you need.
Wow. And get a copy of the book. Yeah. It will encourage you. It will open your eyes to those questions that are always, what if? The what ifs can be answered reading that book. It is a tremendous opportunity. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching It's Time. If you have recently made a decision for Christ, Herman and Sharron would like to hear from you.